Shalom. Shalom and welcome to the White Rose Family Channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah. And yes, I do have a channel called Symmanayah. But I want to welcome you to this channel. And the message at this time is Daily Mirror. Daily Mirror. You know, if you're tuning in, my messages are directed towards those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father. And if that is you who truly seek to do His desire, His will, I believe as a result of John 6:44, Abba Yahuah, the Almighty Creator Yahuah, drawing you to His Word and able for us to understand what He's saying or has to say to us, His Word, which was manifest in the name of Yahusha. And I believe in the coming days, we will grow to understand what that means. Many don't understand the dynamics because they're using their own competence and just leaning on black and white text, not praying and seeking to discern and allow the Spirit to make clear the relationship of Yahuwah's word that came in Yahusha's name, how they are one. So you use your own competence. And for that reason, become conflicted and find a hard time accepting that. But I believe in these end times that will change. This message, Daily Mirror, is to bring some attention to the need to self-examine as we study the scriptures and they are made alive before us, as we receive set-apart teachings and they are made alive before us, using that to gauge the person in the mirror. Let's unpack this and get into it, my brothers and sisters. You see, beginnings are important. Many of us look in the mirror at some point when awakening. Let's unpack. What do we see, my brothers and sisters? Believe it or not, we miss much when looking at ourselves in the mirror. How many of us consider the condition of the mind or spirit when we look in the mirror? It is time to recognize the importance of praying without ceasing, even while looking in the mirror, my brothers and sisters. Let's take a look at 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 22. And I'm reading from the East Sword Scripture version. And it reads, "Rejoice always, pray without ceasing." Without ceasing. And I submit to you, pray without ceasing means speaking to Abba Yahuah and seeking to discern and listen to His voice. His words speak to us to guide us. It says, in all circumstances give thanks, for this is the desire of Elohim and Messiah Yahusha for you. Do not quench the spirit. Do not despise prophecies. Prove them all. Hold fast what is good. Keep back from every form of wickedness, my brothers and sisters. How many of us believe that this is important daily, often? I submit to you, many of us step out of the door without giving thought to putting on the armor of Abba Yahuah. It is like stepping away from our daily mirror experience, not fully dressed. How many of us do that? How many of us have realized we face sometimes battles, disagreements, because we stepped away from the mirror, ill-equipped, not recognizing, let us gird up in prayer with the full armor and step into our daily routine, if it's a routine, or step into what lies before us for that day. Let's take a look, my brothers and sisters, at Ephesians 6 chapter verses 10 through 12. Ephesians 6 chapter verses 10 through 12. For it says, "For the rest, my brothers, be strong in the Master and in the mightiness of His strength. Put on the complete armor of Elohim, for you have the power to stand against the schemes of the devil. Because we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against authorities, against the world rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual matters of wickedness in the heavenlies. And it continues. 13 and 14th verse. I'm in the 6th chapter of Ephesians. It said, because of this, take up the complete armor of Elohim, so that you have power to withstand the wicked day, of having done all to stand. Now, I preferably like to say the Almighty One when I see the word Elohim, because Elohim actually is plural for mighty ones. There's only one Almighty One, and that is Yahuah. And his word was manifest in Yahusha's name. And we will grow to understand those dynamics of why, when we say Yahusha, we're talking about the word of Yahuah. But it says, beware. It says, because of this, take up the complete armor of Almighty One, so that you have the power to withstand the wicked day, and having done all to stand. Stand then, having girded your waist with truth, and having put on the breastplate of righteousness. And it continues on, my brothers and sisters. We're talking about the armor of Yahuah. I'm suggesting that daily mirror experience include, am I ready to step out into the world with the armor of Yahuah? Am I ready to step and identify truth? And when it's not truthful, know how to navigate and what to do regarding such matters. It's saying, having fitted your feet with the preparation of good news of peace, above all, having taken up the shield of belief, with which you shall have power to quench all the burning arrows of the wicked one. The shield of belief. Are we not aware in Hebrews 11:1 that talks about belief? It's the substance of things expected, evidence of things not seen. Are we aware that we must hold to belief in order to please Abba Yahuah? And I'm referencing Hebrews 11:6, my brothers and sisters. For it tells us, without belief, it's impossible to please him. Do we want to please him as we step away from that daily mirror routine? Yashar'al goes on to say, in the 17th and 18th verse in the 6th chapter of Ephesians, take also the helmet of deliverance and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Almighty One. The helmet of deliverance that helps us to identify that we are walking under the blood of the Lamb. A helmet of deliverance. It protects and helps us to guard the set-apart things we have received from Abba Yahuah, so that we do not allow things to attack our minds to take over. But with the helmet of deliverance, we know and believe that the power and might from Abba Yahuah through his word strengthen us to press on, to press forward. It's saying praying at all times with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, watching in all perseverance and supplication for all the set-apart ones. We're stepping away from that daily mirror with obligations to one another, my brothers and sisters. It goes on to say in the 19th and 20th verse, I'm still in Ephesians, 6th chapter. 19 and 20 say, also for me that a word might be given to me in opening my mouth, to be bold in making known the secret of the good news, for which I am an envoy in chains, that in it I might speak boldly as I should speak. Though this is Yahusha speaking to what is commonly known as the letter to the Ephesians. Believe it or not, this shoe fits many of us on different occasions. But let us gird up with the armor of Abba Yahuah. When we make the armor of Abba Yahuah a part of our daily routine, it becomes top of mind daily. It becomes, in some cases, automatic for some. When we use different size mirrors, my brothers and sisters, whether a full body mirror or just the upper parts, we can sometimes miss things. Yes, when looking in the mirror, we can miss things. Just like this can happen naturally, it can happen spiritually. So be prepared if someone else noticed what was missed. In other words, be prepared. Do not get offended with correction when they come. It could be dealing with something physical or spiritual. You see, sometimes we become too quick to be defensive. And let us remember the importance of praying about a matter. Let us be mindful of the many ways discipline and judgment arise from Abba Yahuah. Remember, my brothers and sisters, it is for the purpose of refining us in this set-apart walk. There's more. Lamentations, come with me there. Lamentations chapter 3, verse 40. Lamentations chapter 3, verse 40. It says, let us search and examine our ways and turn back to Yahuah. You see, we'll stumble, we'll fall, but if we don't have a ready mind to repent, that means turn, yield to reproof, accept the correction, and press forward, we may find ourselves lagging when it comes to obedience. There will be times when we stumble or neglect things. It is wise to examine ourselves, our ways, daily, my brothers and sisters. There are times we fall into not knowing how to judge matters during our day-to-day routine. But let us be mindful of Matthew chapter 7. Come with me there. Matthew chapter 7, verse 1 and 2 says, do not judge, lest you be judged. For with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged, and with the same measure you use, it shall be measured to you. You see, there's a need for that daily mirror experience. Matthew 7, 3 through 5 says, and why do you look at the splinter in your brother's eye, but do not notice the plank in your own eye? Or how is it that you say to your brother, let me remove the splinter out of your eye and see a plank is in your own eye? Hypocrite, first remove the plank from your own eye, and then you shall see clearly to remove the splinter out of your brother's eye. Some people take this scripture to mean that we cannot correct one another, that the Spirit will not work in us, through us, one towards another to bring correction. Some people will throw this up as a shield to say, you have no right to correct me. You can't tell me what to do. But first, my brothers and sisters, if we, in that mirror experience, know we're stepping out, believing and trusting that the Spirit of Yahuah is with us, believing and trusting that Abba Yahuah, through his word, sent in Yahusha's name, will bring to remembrance the set-apart ways and expectation he has for us for the moment, for that day. So before we put up shield and say, you can't correct me, you can't tell me, let us examine what they're saying. Let us not waste time telling a person what they can and can't do if that person is indeed following after the ways of Almighty Father, being obedient to him, to bring correction, to contribute towards our renewal. We are reminded to take up our stake daily, my brothers and sisters. Consider Luke. Luke chapter 9, verse 23. Luke chapter 9, verse 23. Take a look. It is written, and he said to them all, and this is the scripture version in Esau, if anyone wishes to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his stake daily and follow me. Do we have that in mind? In that daily mirror experience that we're taking up the stake, we're taking up a posture of knowing when to put self in place, to make the sacrifice of presenting our bodies to Abba Yahuah, to guide us, to direct us, to encourage one another. Come, let us examine 1 Corinthians 13, 12, 11, and 12. 1 Corinthians 13, 11, and 12 says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, thought as a child, I reasoned as a child. But when I became a man, I did away with childish matters. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know as I have been known. You see, my brothers and sisters, even with the mirror, we see dimly. But when we look carefully, we look more readily with a mind to hear and receive what Abba Yahuah wants us to see. It makes a difference. Don't take the daily mirror for granted. How we utilize the words daily mirror will be different. Do not take for granted the abilities to see and make corrections or be corrected. Do not be offended when corrections come, for they are for our betterment, O Yashar'al. How many of us are aware of that? Or are we more so on guard to preserve our egos? Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, let's go to 2 Corinthians 3, 16 through 18. Bear with me a second. It is written, 2 Corinthians 3, 16 through 18, and one turns to the master. When one turns to the master, the veil is taken away. Now Yahuah is the spirit, and where the spirit of Yahuah is, there is freedom. And we all, as with unveiled faces, we see as in a mirror the esteem of Yahuah in being transformed into the same likeness from esteem to esteem as from Yahuah, the spirit. My brothers and sisters, when we see that freedom, many people think that that's my freedom. I can do what I want. You can't tell me what to do. I'm free to do whatever. Yahuah gives me that freedom. Not realizing, my brothers and sisters, that is the freedom for the spirit of Yahuah to guide us wherever he see fit, however he see fit, to influence our actions, to magnify set apartness. Let us get this straight. Let us not abuse the word freedom. For freedom is the ability for Yahuah to guide us, to teach us, and for us to share and reflect and magnify the reign of Abba Yahuah, one through another, one to another, and to those who witness our actions. Let us be reminded, each day awakening, there will be people watching and examining our looks and actions, my brothers and sisters. Let us also be mindful of what to expect. Remember, we are instructed to be doers of the word. And some people say, I don't care what people think of me. I don't care what they say. Do we not want to lift up Yahusha? Are we not aware of John 12:32, where Yahusha said, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men to myself? Do we not know that our actions should be set apart, that draws us together? How do you think the 144,000 and great multitude in Revelation 7 will come together? How do you think the promises of gathering us from the four corners of the earth will come together? Unless we are mindful how we govern ourselves, what we do, that we are mindful of the need to be doers of the word. James 1:22 and 23. Let's take a look. For it is written, and become doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Because if anyone is a hearer of the word, and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his natural face in the mirror. Notice how I say looks at his natural face. See, he's just stopping there. Could say like a man just looking in the mirror and just stopping at his image. But I encourage each of us, my brothers and sisters, when we look at the mirror, don't just look at the image we see. Look at all that that image reflects and emits. Consider all that we believe. Consider all that we pursue. Consider what should be top of mind. Don't just stop at the image alone. What's behind the image? What's in the mind and spirit of the person in the image? It goes on to say in James 1:24-26, for he looks at himself and goes away and immediately forgets what he was like. But he that looked into the perfect Torah, Torah means instruction, that of freedom, and continues in it, not becoming a hearer that forgets, but a doer of work, this one shall be blessed in his doing of the Torah, of the instruction. So many people think Torah is just the 5 books of Moshe or Musha. Some think the Torah is just the Old Testament, which is known by some as the Tanakh. Torah means instruction, and Abba Yahuah is the living Almighty One, and he sent his spirit, his word, in Yahusha's name, alive, guiding us. It is not just the black and white text that you see. And so many people are infatuated with the word Torah that they miss defining what Torah means. And there are people who have heard these ill teachings and will tell you the Torah is just the 5 books of Musha. There are people that will argue and say Torah is the Old Testament. Don't be infatuated by the word Torah because you're newly awakened or you're trying to pursue what you believe is the Hebrew language. Yashar'al Torah means instruction. And the ultimate and best instruction we can receive is by Abba Yahuah. Let me reread 126. If anyone among you thinks he is religious and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his own heart, this one's religion is worthless. Be mindful, my brothers and sisters, of what is expected as I gradually come to an end. Keep these words in mind. Matthew 10:26. My brother, my sister, hear these words. For it is written in Matthew 10:26, therefore do not fear them, for whatever is covered shall be revealed, and whatever is hidden shall be made known. Are we ready to see what's hidden, what's made known? Come with me, my brothers and sisters, to Hebrews. Hebrews, my brothers and sisters, chapter 4, verses 12 and 13. Hebrews 4, 12 and 13. For it is written, for the word of Elohim is living and working and sharper than any two-edged sword, cutting through even through the dividing of being and spirit, and of joints and marrow, and able to judge the thoughts and intention of the heart. And there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all are naked and laid bare before the eyes of him with whom is our account. My brothers and sisters, it is written in the scriptures that the Almighty Father dwells in us, through us, one towards another. We must never forget that, my brothers and sisters. Never forget that. And if he dwells in us, if we are instructed to walk in the Spirit, to be filled with the Spirit, to pray without ceasing, to pursue obedience, to walk in wisdom towards those without, if we are given so many instructions to gird up, cannot these things happen quickly? Quicker than we may realize. And if the Almighty Father knows the thoughts of a person, could he not, and do he not, at times share the thoughts of another to us? I believe discernment is when the Spirit of Abba Yahuah, sent in Yahusha's name through his word, reveals and uncovers, makes known, And I believe the first order of service for discerning of spirits of an individual, a group, a camp, a fellowship, a community. The first order of service is intercessory prayer. With the mind to say, okay, Abba Yahuah, I pray for this person regarding the matter you have revealed to me. You see, I believe prayer intercessors exist. And the next order of service is to act if directed. But we must be able to discern, does he want us to act, or is he saying, I want you to pray for that person, and I will send another to add or increase what is necessary for that individual or group, my brothers and sisters. Nothing hid from the Almighty Father that will not be uncovered. My brothers and sisters, there's much promised by Abba Yahuah. Yes, he promised it. So we will experience his discipline. We will experience him revealing things to us. We will experience, when looking through the daily mirror, to see a whole lot about ourselves. And we will discover how to have a ready mind, body, and spirit to step out into the world and reflect a life of set apartness, that others may draw closer, that we may draw closer. For soon and very soon, my brothers and sisters, we will draw closer to one another. It is a good thing to recognize what Abba Yahuah desires of us, from each of us, for each of us. This requires work and set-apart routines, examining ourselves using a daily mirror, either literally, but definitely spiritually. For the Almighty Father can reveal to the one in the mirror, or to he who is in this earthen vessel, what we need to do, how we need to walk, how we need to listen and learn, share and teach when the Almighty Father guides us. Do we not want to make our daily experience something that at the end of the course of the day we can feel, at the very least, we were successful in representing set-apart body of Yashar'al, representing the ways of Abba Yahuah? Be encouraged, my brothers and sisters. We will be strengthened to do what is right in the eyes of the Almighty Father Yahuah. We will recognize a strength that some of us didn't realize we had. Through his set-apart word sent in Yahusha's name, we will discover much of our abilities to obey him, to reflect the set-apart nation, to reflect the ways and desires of the Almighty Father. Rise up and watch how daily mirror exercise can make a difference when we do not take it for granted. Even if we're rushing, starting our day running behind, so to speak, remember each breath we live by every word that comes out of the mouth of the Almighty Father. Consider Deuteronomy 8:3 said, man doesn't live by bread alone, but every word. Deuteronomy 8:3, every word. Now that passage is literally talking about an experience when Yashar'al came out of the wilderness. But it applies across the board, O Yashar'al. My brother, my sister, daily mirror. I pray that you are encouraged, that you got something that nudges you closer towards the Almighty Father. I pray that you realize that you're not alone, regardless of what state of mind you may be in right now, that the Spirit of Yahuah will honor his promises. He will speak to us in Yahusha's name and through us one towards another. If you listen from beginning to end and you've been encouraged in any way, shape, or form, consider subscribing, share, like. Let others experience what you experience, and they may get something that you miss. They may miss something that you received. Together in conversation, you're strengthened even more. And my brother and sister, I want to ask that you plant a seed. Consider a financial seed. financial support. I have Cash App, White Rose Family. Consider supporting me, my brothers and sisters. Plant a seed and witness what comes as a result of that. On that note, I thank you for your time and patience. If you would like to support me in another way financially, email me at Symmanayah@gmail.com, and I will give you some alternative ways to financially support me if so desired. And for those who have already, I thank you. And on that note, be encouraged. The Daily Mirror. Walk away with something to energize you to get through the day. On that note, shalom, my brother, my sister, my family. Shalom.